All right, next we're going to talk about the Ordovician period. So the Ordovician period is right here, part of the Paleozoic era, and it lasted from 490 million years ago to 440 million years ago. So the name Ordovician comes from Ordovicians, which were the people who lived in a particular part of England where the first fossils of this period were found. All life at this era, in this period, were divided into two groups. There were the animals that swam or floated near the surface of the water, kind of in the wash of the waves, where they had that cycle of light and darkness, and the creatures that could swim in the deeper waters or rooted themselves to the ocean floors. And so they had even temperatures and they didn't have that cycle of light and dark. It was just kind of subdued light all the time. Shelled animals at this time became more prominent as the calcium from dying trilobites here was eaten by many marine animals who processed it into shells of many shapes and sizes. So the first clam appeared at this time, also starfish and sea urchins, and the nautiloid. I thought I was in order here, but I'm not quite. My starfish, sea urchin, and then the nautiloid. I have here a cephalopod that is a type of nautiloid, but actually nautiloids still exist today. This is a modern nautilus. And these animals first appeared in the Ordovician era. The nautiloid was actually the mightiest creature of the Ordovician Sea. Sometimes it could get to be 15 feet in length. As the nautiloids preyed on trilobites, the trilobites developed various defenses, and that's where you start to get the trilobites that have really wacky looking exteriors, like this guy here. Some of them actually curled up to protect their soft underside. So just all kinds of different adaptations that the trilobites developed to kind of try and protect themselves from the nautiloids. Didn't actually work. They did end up going extinct anyway, but good try. Well, the nautiloids were the most powerful form of life at that time. The crinoids, these sea lilies, were actually the most proliferate. That means that they were the most common. The crinoids multiplied to such a degree that they soon covered the ocean with their stalk life supports, those like stone casings that went around their stalks that we talked about. And that gave them support. The tops here would wave back and forth in the water and catch particles for food. Coral reefs also expanded a lot during this era, all over the world. And seaweed covered a lot of the ocean floor. The largest arthropods that ever lived also developed at this time, and they have the coolest name. They're called marine scorpions, or eurypterids. Eurypterids became more predominant in the Silurian period, which is our next period, but they could get as long as 9 feet. That is a big old animal. Now, insignificant at this time, but it became very important later, was the development of the very first vertebrates. Vertebrates means that there is a backbone in here. So the very first vertebrates developed here in the Ordovician period. They weren't super important in the Ordovician period, but they become real important later on. And that's the Ordovician period, 490 million years ago to 440 million years ago. And our next lesson will be on the Silurian period.